Let's talk about the hottest part of the candle making process, the wick. The wick journey is brutal. It's easily the most underappreciated part of this craft, and yet it controls everything. So your wick determines how cleanly your candle burns, how strong your scent throw is, and even whether your candle burns safely or overheats. Here's the truth. There's no magic shot that will tell you the right wick. Those guides are just that. They're starting points. They don't know your wax, your jar, your fragrance oil. So today I'm going to break down how to actually choose the right wick for your wax based on my own testing and experience. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, it's Carrie. I'm the owner and creator of Couture Home and Body. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Listen, we got a big one today. The caveat being this isn't a super exhaustive list. This is based on my experience in making candles since 2019. So the different waxes, wicks, combos that I have used and tested. So your mileage, of course, may vary, but I think this is a really nice comprehensive list for you to dig into and see how it can help you in your wicking journey. I do have a blog post as well, so if you want, you can refer back to this video or you can keep referring back to the blog post. I will have it linked down in the description box below. Your wick is the engine of your candle. It controls your burn rate, melt pool, your scent throw, and the overall safety. So if you go too small, your candle can tunnel, can have a weak burn, hot throw. If you go too big, you're going to get soot, overheating, potentially a cracked jar. So once you understand what affects performance, you'll start to see clear patterns. Let's start with what actually affects wick performance. So number one is going to be your vessel size. Always measure the inside diameter of your jar at the widest point. So if your vessel is tapering, wick for the widest part of the jar, not necessarily the bottom. Every wax has its own burn behavior. So soy, it's dense, it's slow burning. Coconut blends, they're soft, easy to melt. Paraffin burns hot and fast. And beeswax is thick and stubborn, so it needs some serious heat. All right, number three is your fragrance load. So too much can actually hurt your hot throw. So if the wick can't handle it, the oil is going to burn off too quickly and it's going to kill your scent. Number four, of course, is additives. So colorants, UV stabilizers, stearic acid, all of these can change how a candle burns. So if you tweak your formula, you need to retest your wicks. All right, let's get into the fun part, shall we? Let's talk about the different wick series, the different wick families, and which waxes they work best with, starting with CD wicks. These are the powerhouses. They burn hot and steady. They really do a great job of pushing through dense waxes quite beautifully. They are best for 100% soy. They do well in palm or beeswax blends. So if your candle is struggling to reach a full melt pool in soy, CD is a great starting point. So you're going to want to watch out for mushrooming and soot because they run hot. So trimming to that 1/4 inch before each burn is just a non-negotiable. If CD is too aggressive, I would suggest stepping down to an Eco or an HTP. Let's talk about CDN wicks. CDN wicks, they're closely related to CD, but they burn a little cooler and with more control. So they use the same flat braid design, but the tighter braid tension helps reduce that mushrooming and soot that you can see with CD. These are best for pure soy or high soy blends, especially if CD is running too hot. They also perform really beautifully in blends like Cedar Serica or coconut soy, where you need the heat because of the soy, but you don't need that aggressive CD flame. So if you love the consistency of a CD, but you want something a little smoother, more stable, CDN is going to be your go-to series. All right, CDN is not ideal for soft, low melt waxes like cocoa apricot cream. They can overheat and flood very easily. I have CDN as a backup wick for my soy 10 recipe, but it does burn quite a bit hotter. It takes about 15 hours off my overall burn time. Think of CDN as your like refined CD. Same strength, just better behaved. All right, let's talk about Eco Wicks. Eco Wicks burn cooler and cleaner. They have like that little curl at the tip, which helps them to self-trim. These are best for softer waxes like coconut, a soy coconut blend, or paraffin blends. These shine in formulas like Cocoa Apricot, IGI 6006. Eco burns evenly and reduces soot, but in pure soy, they can sometimes struggle to reach a full melt pool because they're just too cool. So if your soy candle tunnels with an Eco, I would say you need to size up at least 1 or 2 sizes. All right, let's talk about HTP wicks. These are like the middle ground wick. I refer to them as the Goldilocks balance because they're not hot as CD, but they're not as cool as Eco. They're best for soy blends. They also work great in cocoa soy, 6006, like a paraffin soy. They give a stable flame, good melt pool, solid hot throw without running too hot. So if Eco is tunneling and CD overheats, HTP is going to be your happy medium. So these are best for soy blends where the soy isn't as dominant. Cocoa soy, apricot soy, even paraffin soy, because they give a stable flame, good melt pool, solid hot throw without running too hot. So if your Eco is tunneling and CD is overheating, HTP is going to be that great happy medium. All right, let's talk about LX wicks. LX wicks are the precision burners. They burn with great control. They have low mushrooming, stable flame, very clean. These are great in paraffin or paraffin heavy blends like the Iggy waxes. They're great if you want like a refined, consistent burn with minimal soot. LX doesn't produce enough heat for pure soy, but it's fantastic for container paraffin and lower soy blends. Let's talk about wood wicks. Wood wicks are the aesthetic heavyweights, that soft crackle sound. It's unbeatable. Or it's very annoying, depending upon which camp you reside in. So wood wicks are best for soft, creamy waxes like a cocoa apricot, Cedar Serica, or coconut soy blends that do have a bit of paraffin for structure. They also work in low soy blends, but listen, they're inconsistent. Even batch to batch. Always trim your wood wicks to about 1/8 of an inch before lighting. If you leave it any taller, they'll start to soot and really flare out. Every tree is different and every location it's going to be different. That is the problem with wood wicks. They are simply so inconsistent. It's why I didn't want to use wood wicks. It was just, the struggle is so real. If you are using wood wicks, my hat is off to you. I have so much respect for people that really dig in and stick with it. Performance though, I can't. We may not be here if I stuck with wood wicks. Humidity, storage, and wood density all affect burn behavior. So if you love the vibe, you've got to be patient. They take a long time to dial in and a long time to master. Let's talk about Premier wicks. They're engineered for a clean, even flame with minimal mushrooming and soot. These are best for soft waxes like cocoa apricot, paraffin blends, 6006. They're also great for a softer beeswax or soy coconut blend where maybe 10% beeswax. They are not great for 100% soy. They simply don't burn hot enough to achieve a full melt pool and dense soy, and there's like no hot throw. If the Eco feels too weak, the CD feels too aggressive, I think Premier is the smooth middle ground, especially for those soft waxes. All right, let's talk about how to test your wicks. Testing is where all the magic happens, right? The data starts to make sense the more that you test. Pour 3 testers for every wax and fragrance combo. So one at like your best guess or like your base recipe, one smaller and one larger. If you really want to speed up testing, I would add 1 and 2 sizes larger and 1 and 2 sizes smaller. Make sure you keep everything else exactly the same. Your jar, your pour temp, your fragrance load, your fragrance. Let them harden for 1 to 5 days depending upon if it's paraffin or soy or cocoa. Trim your cotton wicks to 1/4 of an inch. Wood wicks trim to 1/8 of an inch. And of course, burn them in 4-hour increments. Track your flame height, your melt pool, your jar temps, and your hot throw. Keeping copious notes is going to save you. It's going to save you time, and it's going to save you from doing or repeating tests that you've already done. So however that is for you to organize and look back on, whatever your process is, lean into how you like to work, how you like to, track your tests. And if it's a notebook, great. I implore you to put that into a digital version in case you lose that notebook or something happens to that notebook. It would be devastating. I can't imagine if I lost 6, 7 years of testing notes. I mean, oh my God, that sounds awful. Testing isn't failure, it's data, right? Every test burn teaches us something. All right, let's talk about common wick issues and what they mean. So if your candle is tunneling, traditionally we always look at the wick being too small or the wax is too dense, so you want to wick up a size, or you may just need a hotter series like a CD, CDN, or an HTP. So if your candle is sooting, there could be a couple of things at play. Your wick could be too large or you didn't trim it. So wick down, trim, test again. If your hot throw is weak, check your fragrance load and your wick size. Too much fragrance oil can actually burn off too fast and completely kill your hot throw. If your candle is overheating near the top, your wick might be too large, or you wicked for the bottom of a tapered vessel, so check your diameter. Always wick for the widest point of the jar, and if your entire jar is getting too hot, again, make sure your wick is trimmed properly and then switch to a cooler wick. Like for instance, if you're using CD, maybe switch to Eco. So remember, when you're testing, adjust only one variable at a time. That's how you get clean data. I know it's tempting to want to do load and wick, but you have to rule out one issue over the other, and you can't do it at the same time. There is no universal recipe for the perfect burn or the perfect candle. Every candle maker has to find what works in their own setup. So take notes, be consistent, be patient. Mastering wicks takes time. Once you understand how each one behaves, you'll know exactly what your candle needs to burn cleanly and perform beautifully. And that is how you build a professional, reliable line, one test at a time. And remember, behind every perfect candle is a maker who's tested 4.7 thousand million trillion wicks and ugly cried through probably half of them. So definitely check out the blog post. I have it linked down below in the description box. So if you want to take a look at the written version, if you want to save it or whatever, you can keep going back there. It will be there and it will live. Of course, you can always come back and replay this video. I will have chapters linked in the description box below. And of course, with all of this said, if you still feel like you're struggling and you need help, I do offer one-on-one consults. I also offer candle performance review. You can check those out on my website. I have that linked down below as well. And you can see all of the different reviews of folks that I've worked with, that I have helped. And I gotta tell you, I love it. I love the process of working with y'all one-on-one. It is so much fun. So if you need more help, consider reaching out and booking a one-on-one with me. Until the next one, you guys, I'll see you then. Bye.